Department of Justice. I'm Judge Jeanine Pirro. Thanks for being with us tonight. Dr. Sebastian Gorka and attorney Alan Dershowitz among my guests tonight, as well as a special look inside the Museum of the Bible in Washington, D.C., still under construction. But first, my opening statement. Now, the Democrats in this country are so freaked out we elected a president who calls it the way he sees it and not the way the so-called mainstream media and political establishment on both sides of the aisle do, that they wake up hysterical every day, yelling, "The Russians are coming, the Russians are coming, there's collusion everywhere, America is under attack, our way of life is coming to an end, and Chicken Little in the sky are falling." I'm even convinced they see dead people, too.
You see, that is how we got to America.
The Russians have landed.
This whole danged island's under attack by Russians. The Russians have captured the airport.
It's all over. It's all over. We haven't got a chance.
Fire until you see the light. Get out of the way. It's Agnes drill.
Those crazy Americans, all we wanted was boat to pull our submarine off the reef and go home.
This hysteria has nothing to do with Russia and everything to do with Donald Trump, their hatred, their intolerance, their venom for him. And if it doesn't stop, the Democrats, and the Democrats alone, will be responsible for the demise of a workable and effective government of the people. We simply cannot go 4 more years with Russia, 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 gotcha, gotcha, gotcha. And good old Nancy Pelosi right there in the thick of it.
After these latest revelations, it's becoming clear we have suffered a desecration of our democracy not seen since Watergate.
A desecration of our democracy. Say what? So Donald Trump Jr., a political neophyte, gets an email from a friend saying he has information that would incriminate Hillary and her dealings with Russia that would be useful to his then candidate father running for president. He has the meeting less than 20 minutes, and the discussion ends up on rescinding the ban on Russian adoptions. Nothing beneficial to the campaign comes out. But now the hue and cry indict him for treason, for collusion, for campaign finance violations. Now, I got news for you. There is no law that says a campaign cannot accept information from a foreign government. If that were the case, everyone on a campaign who talks to a foreign national is committing a crime. And for you geniuses out there, there can be no treason since we're not at war with Russia. And by the way, the DNC and Hillary colluded with the Ukrainians to get information on Trump at the same time. And real covert operatives who understand meddling in other countries' elections say this is not how Russia would meddle in the election.
That's not how it's done. Let's be clear. The Russians are masters at this kind of thing. They know exactly what they're doing. And no, it would be done in the dead of night, and you wouldn't see any evidence of it. It would not happen in the middle of a Senate office building in broad daylight.
So now Donald Jr. is at fault for agreeing to meet someone to get opposition research. Now, as someone who's run for office 5 times. If the devil called me and said he wanted to set up a meeting to give me opposition research on my opponent, I'd be on the first trolley to hell to get it. And any politician who tells you otherwise is a bald-faced liar. So why the frenzy? Right after Hillary lost the election, Barack Obama imposes sanctions on Russia for hacking the DNC. Now, we all knew that Obama knew all along what Russia was up to, but he did nothing because he and the idiot pollsters predicted Hillary would win. So he felt no need to jeopardize his great relationship with Russia. That's what I said. Obama's great relationship with Russia. It was Obama in 2009 who gave the reset button to make nice with Russia. And when it came out, he knew about the hacking and the possible impact on the election. He says he told Putin to cut it out. Now, I personally don't even think he said that. So, the Russians hacked the DNC emails exposing two-faced Hillary and her lies, Donna Brazile giving Hillary questions for the debate, Debbie Wasserman Schultz knocking out Sanders to clear the playing field for her girlfriend Hillary, and Barack does nothing. Why? For your information, meddling in another country's election is not new to the United States. Barack Obama's State Department gave $300,000 to a not-for-profit in Israel to defeat Netanyahu. And for all you snowflakes out there, the U.S. has been meddling in other elections in other countries for decades.
We staged a coup in Guatemala a number of decades ago where we overthrew the government of Guatemala. We replaced the elected government of Iran with the Shah in 1953. We have done this and literally deposed leaders and replaced them with people who would do what we wanted them to.
And it was Barack Obama who ended the missile defense shield plan for Poland and the Czech Republic. When he reneged, the Russians cheered, calling him brave, thanking him for the gift he gave Russia. And let me ask the Democrats out there, what did Barack Obama mean when he said this?
After my election, I have more flexibility.
I understand. I transmit this information to Vladimir.
You remember that hot mic moment? What message was Obama sending to Vladimir that he didn't want us, the American people, to know about? What was he willing to do for Putin that was so dangerous that it could have risked his losing the election? You tell me. And consider this. After drawing a red line in the sand, should Assad use chemical weapons on his people in Syria, Obama wimps out like a wuss and he does nothing. Think that one through. Obama then puts Putin in charge of overseeing the elimination of chemical weapons just used against the people in Syria. It tells you Putin puts pressure on Obama to let him, Putin, handle the situation for his friend and ally Assad. And we put the fox in charge of the hen house and clearly failed since chemical weapon elimination deadlines were missed repeatedly. So, folks, it's Barack Obama who's pals with Putin. He watched like a wuss as Russia invaded and annexed Ukraine and the Crimean Peninsula in 2014. And just to bring you up to date, it was his Department of Justice that let in the Russian lawyer Veselnitskaya without a visa and let her in under extraordinary circumstances, allowing her to then sit in the front row of a congressional hearing. And it was under Barack Obama that 20% of our uranium was sold to Putin with a $145 million kickback to the Clinton Foundation, that organized criminal enterprise that was a money laundering operation, and a $500,000 speech fee paid to Bill Clinton by a Kremlin-connected company. So I, for one, am sick and tired of Russia, Russia, Russia. Put up or shut up. And a message to those Republicans in Congress. You did nothing when the Democrats assaulted our democracy with Fast and Furious, the sales of weapons to the Mexican cartels, the Clinton Foundation, the sale of our uranium to Russia, Susan Rice lying about Benghazi. I want Loretta Lynch, Susan Rice, Hillary Clinton, and the rest of that gang under oath. So why don't you Republicans start supporting President Trump, face down this Russian nonsense, and start working for us, the American people? That includes health care. Otherwise, you're no better to us than the Democrats. And that's my open. Tell me what you think on my Facebook page or Twitter, hashtag Judge Jeanine. Okay. Joining me now, President Trump's Deputy Assistant, Dr. Sebastian Gorka. Good evening, Doctor.
Good evening, and let me just take my blood pressure medicine. That was quite an intro. Thank you.
Thank you for what you're doing. You've had quite a week, Dr. Gorka. You and the mainstream media have kind of been going at it, yes?
We had some fun. We had some fun this week. We've got a great team. We've got Sarah Huckabee Sanders, Sean Spicer, and Kellyanne. But I'm glad to support them, and it was fun this week.
Well, what I liked most was when you told, who was it, CNN, that Nick at Night beats them in the ratings?
Yeah, they're at position 13 nationally, CNN 13, Fox of course is number 1, and Nick at Night, so comedy reruns and kid shows are at number 11. That's the crisis of credibility in the fake news industrial complex, Judge.
Well, you know, it's got to be frustrating for you. I mean, you know, the president is a man who works 20 out of 24 hours a day. You guys, I'm sure, haven't had sleep since he got in there. It's got to be frustrating that you can't get out to the American people what actually they are doing and you are doing to help us out because of this meddling by the mainstream media.
I see it a little bit differently, Judge, because, you know, we live inside the Acela corridor, so we're inside this bubble. But if you get out of the bubble, the mainstream, you know, the America that elected the president to be the commander-in-chief, they know exactly what they're doing, and they couldn't care less. This Russia collusion delusion is irrelevant. People see the jobs coming back. They see the price of gas. They see the fact that this week we destroyed the caliphate. That should be the news. Look at what CNN's doing. CNN, the rest of the mainstream media, it's Russia, Russia, Russia. They talk more about Russia than America. It's like Pravda from the Cold War. You remember Pravda?
Yes.
They talk more about Russia than America, and they've lost credibility. And that's why the president's Twitter feed is so important, because he just jumps right over them, and he tells the American people, we are making America great again, Judge.
And you know what's interesting is that there is no fear or concern on the part of this president in working with Putin. It's almost as though he can let all this cacophony, this noise around him, he can kind of go like this and brush it off his shoulder and do business. And it seems that if we can work with Putin to fight ISIS, we're doing it.
Look, the president is a patriot and a pragmatist. He looks at relations with Moscow with a steely eye. I myself, my father was arrested and tortured and imprisoned by communists, so there's no love lost for me when it comes to the Kremlin. But hang on, this is, along with America, we are the two most powerful nuclear nations in the world. We both face terrorism, and we are going to need, or we would like to have, some kind of cooperation with Russia on key issues like Syria, like ISIS. And if people think that's a bad idea, then they don't understand how the world works.
And, you know, one of the things, Doctor, that I didn't say in my open is that, you know, this Iran, the nuclear deal that Obama did, and $150 billion and then $400 million on, you know, on pallets and unmarked planes, they're yelling death to America. The media could care less. Their hatred for Donald Trump is so intense, it's almost frightening.
Think about all these people that are obsessing on this fake news, literally lies, not one piece of evidence of anything done illegally by the Trump campaign or this administration, despite Hillary Clinton, her husband, the DNC, the Ukrainian government, totally complicit in all kinds of incredibly shady deals. But what do they want to talk about? They want to forget that the people who are criticizing us now were for the Iran deal, made the JCPOA possible, told Mitt Romney, do you remember during the debate, oh, Russia, really?
Yeah.
The 1980s want their foreign policy back. These people have no integrity, but we don't care, Judge, because we are keeping to the agenda that got Donald J. Trump elected. This isn't a distraction. People think that this is what we talk about in the West Wing. We couldn't care less. We are working, we're pushing forward, and we're making America great again.
Sebastian Gorka, it's always good to have you on Justice. Thanks for being with us tonight.
Thanks, Judge.
All right.